Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Kevin James. You've joined us at a good time because I still have Nikki Davidson with us. And we're going to continue picking up where we left off last week. She was a junior in high school, and she decided to drop out. And you're going to hear a little bit about that and then her a little bit of rest for a walk for the next 10 years. So, Nikki, thanks for joining us again.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. What's happening?
Okay, so what happened was I met this one kid.
Okay. Boy or girl?
Gay boy.
Oh, gay boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And me and him, we became best friends because we both loved Nicki Minaj. We were both obsessed with Nicki Minaj. We became best friends. I met him on the bus, and we used to sit next to each other on the bus every day, talk about Nicki Minaj, and listen to music together, and just banter back
Right.
and forth. Typical banter that you'd see between a woman and a gay man. Same stuff that you would typically hear them talk about. We talked about fashion, we talked about guys, we talked about a lot of different kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
Now at this point in time, I was still kind of in the closet. I was still very much in the closet, but I was kind of like trying to mask the fact that I like the same sex by talking about the opposite sex too at times.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. Me and him, we were friends, and he had just moved. I think he said his mom was from New York, but I think he grew up in Florida. I always forget where he's from, but it was somewhere else in Florida, and he had moved to that area. But we vibed really well, and then we met all of these different people together because he had just started school down there. All of my friends from middle school, my close friend group from middle school, they went to a different high school than me.
Okay.
I was the only one out of the whole group that went to the high school I went to. So when I started,
Right.
I didn't have
No
any
friends.
friends. I had to make them as I went along, and that was difficult for a while. I think my first year, I didn't sit with anybody. It wasn't until my sophomore year that I started sitting with people. Now, by my junior year, I guess my friend group from sophomore year had all kind of broken up and went their own way.
Right.
So then I wound up meeting this kid, and then we met all of these other people together.
Right.
And we formed a clique together.
Mm-hmm.
So now we all sat at the same table every day, all of us, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was really the type of person where there were some days where I would just go off and do my own thing. And
Right.
I just, I felt like, days where I just didn't feel like so social or whatever, and I just wanted to be alone. I would go and be alone, and I felt like my presence was really not that vital to the point where people would like wonder where I was or anything like that.
Right.
So
You were a little bit invisible.
yeah, yes,
Yeah.
very much so. But at the same time, always had a very charismatic personality. So when I would sit with them, it would just, we just get right back to it.
Right.
How it normally was. Anyway, I had there was this one girl that was there was these two sisters that were in the group, and this one girl that I started becoming closer to at the time. Me and her, sometimes we would walk off from the group, and her sister would be sitting with the rest of the table. And when me and her would walk off and do our own thing or whatever, one day it came to my attention that he was talking negatively about me to the table, and making fun of me and stuff like that, and saying things like, oh, she thinks she's cute and she's not, and she thinks she could rap but she can't, and blah 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 blah, all of this stuff, like gossiping about me. So when I caught word of it,
I was going to say almost New York style high school reactions, or
yeah.
That's.
So
I mean, it could be down here too. But I didn't go to high school down here, so. But yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, so when I caught wind of it, I confronted him. It was me and the girl. I think so. The girl's sister is the one who told me. So me and the other girl, we were in the line together, and she was with me, and I was like, come on, I'm about to go find him right now. So I confronted him with the issue, and then he stood in front of me and lied to me and told me to my face that he didn't say. And he was like, I always defend you, so why would I talk about you? And it's true. I remember there was this one girl who used to stop by the table, and then she would walk off, and he would say to me like, ugh, like I don't like her, blah 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 blah. And then there was one time she said something, and he was like, oh, I don't like that she said that about you or whatever. And she was like, da 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 da. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he said to me like, oh well, I always defend you, so why would I be talking about you to the rest of the table and blah blah blah. And he had like two girls that were standing next to him with him at the time, and because he always was like the center of attention, and he had like, you know, two girls on the side of him. Like I always called them like his minions. That's what I referred to it as.
Sounds like Mean
Like,
Girls, the movie.
that's how it was.
Yeah.
That's really how it was. So now
Yeah.
when basically the situation with me and him escalated because I sat there and I said to him, I'm like, you're a liar, no, because why would they say that, why would they tell me right now, da 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 da, whatever. We're going back and forth. So anyway, they one of the administrators or something like that basically had separated us and was taking me away. Me and him were in a cursing match. We were going back and forth.
Right.
And then he eventually, you know, once it escalated, he was like, okay, that's right, I did say that. And so what? Da 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 da. And I was like, see, I knew it. And so we were walking around after that, and I was just heated. So now I'm walking it off with
Right.
the girl who was with me originally. I'm cooling down. We're walking around. And I'm just venting and blah blah blah. And you know, she's on my side. She's heavy on my side. Like nah, that's crazy that, you know, he would do that to you with this and that, and the third.
Right.
We came around again. He's sitting with this other group of girls, and he called her, my friend that was with me. He called her over, and he was like, I just want to let you know that as long as you associate with that duck, I will not be talking to you either, or something like that. And then I was like, what the F did you just say? Who are you talking about? Da, 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 da. So now me and him are into it again. We're going back and forth again. And one of the girls that he was with was talking slick, and I was like, what was that? What was that? And then they had all got up and walked. She had said something about beating me up or whatever, and I was like, I'm standing right here, and they walked off, and I forgot she said something, and I was like, what'd you say? I was like, oh, that's what I thought, like nothing ever happened. It was just a whole bunch of da 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 da, and then walking away, and da 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 da, and walking away. So that's what happened. Whatever, did our own thing after that. Needless to say, basically the rest of the group that we used to sit with all took his side,
Right.
and then they became like his little
Minions.
minions. That's how it was. So now for the rest of my year,
For the junior year.
every time I would come to school, if I shared any classes with them, or if I would pass by them in the hallway or anything, they would all like harass me all the time. So, and it wasn't like name calling or anything like that. It was more so along the lines of they knew they could get under my skin.
Right.
So they would be like, hey, Nikki, like all the time. And I knew that they didn't like me, and I knew they
Right.
talked negatively about me. So I used to get really mad. So I would try to ignore it. Some days I wouldn't say anything. I would just walk right past.
past,
Would
yeah.
keep walking right past. Over time, I would start bottling it up, and I would get so mad because I'm like, I'm so sick of these. I just go crazy, you know? So then I would snap, and I would turn around, and I would curse them out. And then when I would curse them out, then they would like argue with me some more. And they would say stuff like, oh, I didn't, like, how you gonna disrespect us like that? And I'm like, you're disrespecting me. And they're like, oh, how are we disrespecting you? We're just saying hi. And I'm like, but I know you don't like me, so I don't know what's the point. Why do you gotta say anything to me at all? Like, why are you talking to me? Like, there's no reason to talk to me. So it would be like that all the time, right? So, and he knew, like, he used to tell them to do that. And I've seen it before. Like, I had seen him tell a couple of girls, like, oh, look, she's over there. Go over there and tell her. Go over
Right.
there and say something to her. Like, he would purposely try to get these girls to get a rise out of me.
Okay.
And it was so many of them. So it was all the time. And during the same timing, my mom had a boyfriend that had moved into the house with us.
Okay.
And he was a jerk. He was the biggest jerk ever. He was a liar, a manipulator, and he was just a terrible person overall. And so every day,
So this was at the end of your junior year that he moved in?
he had moved in prior to that, like right before,
Before you
like
end.
right beforehand, because they were dating for a while, and I think then they had got engaged, and then he wound up like moving in the house with us during that time. And
Okay.
this is in New York. He was from New York. He came down.
Right.
So at this time, at home, I was dealing with him all the time. And then I was going to school and I was dealing with that all the time, combined with the fact that I already suck in school. And I was always angry all the
Right.
time. You know, I was just so mad all the time. And then there was like, this was like just the icing on the cake. Like,
You said you had enough of it.
yes, so during all of this was like the icing on the cake, like the two main events basically. The first main event was this one day I almost got into a physical altercation. I didn't get into it, but I almost did. Why? Because I always believed like, hey, I'm not a fighter. I'm a lover. I'm not a fighter. But if you start with me, I'm going to defend myself. And I don't believe in hitting first. I'm going to wait until you hit me. So if you don't have the balls to hit me, then nothing's going to happen.
Right.
That's how I always was. So, you know, I was in gym class, and I had shared a gym class with these girls, like three of these girls that were, you know, involved with all of them. I shared a gym class with, unfortunately. So, you know, they would all click up together, and then they would always try to make comments to me all the time, like out of nowhere. Like I'd be minding my business. Hey, Nikki, I like your shoes. Like, yo, all the time, stuff like that.
High school drama.
And you know, I never really dressed well like that, because like my mom, she didn't believe in all that. Like, you know, she wasn't a type that was like, oh, you need to have, like, you know, the best clothes and this and that, and
Right.
blah blah blah. You know, I got one or two good pairs of shoes a year for me to wear until I needed another pair. You know what I
Right.
mean? We didn't go shopping for clothes that often like that. So I wasn't like styling or nothing. Like I wore the same clothes all the time.
Right.
So you know, they would try to pick on me, you know. And then I remember like one year, like for Christmas, I had really always wanted Jordans, because, you know, Jordans are, you know, the big sneakers that everybody likes, the expensive ones. I always wanted Jordans, but, you know, they're very expensive, so I never had any pairs of Jordans. I always wore like the cheaper stuff, like Adidas. You know, when I was younger, Skechers and all that. You know, when I was in high school, though, I upped it a little bit. I was wearing Adidas, but I remember like for one year for Christmas, I got a pair of Jordans. It was my first pair of Jordans. My mom got them for me, and I was happy about them. I wore them, but they weren't like the top of the line Jordans. They were like kind of like the lower end kind of Jordans. So I knew that they were trying to be funny about it, like, I like your shoes, you know.
Yeah.
But whatever. So I got into an altercation with them because I was walking around. We had like a free gym sometimes, where we like just kind of like walk or do whatever. And so I was just walking around with was I with somebody? I can't remember. I think I was by myself. Yeah, I was walking around, and this one girl, she kept saying, "Hey, Nikki," every single time I passed her. I ignored her every single time. 3 times in a row, I ignored her when she said it. The 4th time I went walking, she said it again. Turned around, I snapped. She was with her friend, and her friend chimed in, and she was like, don't call my best friend a bitch." And then I was like, "So you should tell your best friend to stop talking to me then." And then she's like, "But did I disrespect you? I called you by your name. Why are you calling me that?" Like trying to flip it on me, you know? So then I'm going back and forth with this girl. I'm like, "You don't have to talk to me at all. Like, just leave me alone.
Right.
How hard is this? Just leave me alone." And then, you know, we're going back and forth and blah blah blah. And I remember she had been like, she said she was acting like, you know, she wanted to put hands on me, basically. This is a long time ago. I don't really remember how it got to that point, but she wanted to put hands on me. And then she was like, "No, I'm about to fight this, da 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 da." And I was like, "Go ahead, go ahead." And then she started mocking me, and she was like doing a movement. She's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm Nikki, and I got a fake ass accent." She was mocking me.
All right. Let's move on from that conversation so we can get to
Yeah.
the good part. Because
Yeah.
you've had that situation with the girl. We've spent a little bit too much time on that. That's okay. I really want to accent, because we spent a lot of time on the negative, the girl and how she. I mean, that's typical high school drama, females.
Right.
It's just Mean Girls by the galore. I mean, if you want to just watch Mean Girls, you'll see what she's talking about. So let's move it out because we've only been gone 15 minutes so far on this part of the interview, but let's see if we can, speed it up just a little bit. You now are not in high school anymore. Talk about a little bit about, you growing up, and then try, you still have, 15, 20 minutes to get from right there to where you are right now. So
Right.
I know some of the stories have to come up because you want to set the content up and stuff. But let's when you remember the old thing, let's do the Cliff Note versions of things so that people can understand. So now you've done with that drama of school. You said school, I'm done. So you basically, right?
Yeah. Well, pretty much. Like we almost got into a fight, but we didn't. And after that situation, that's when I really was talking about it. Like I wanted to drop out.
Mm-hmm.
I told my mom that I wanted to drop out and I'm tired of dealing with the nonsense, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I really don't want you to, but like, it's your decision. Like, you gotta think about it. And then, the next thing that happened was basically a teacher made up a lie about me.
Yeah.
And, after the teacher lied about me, I got suspended. And it was I basically got accused of some things that I didn't even do.
Okay.
And I still to this day I don't even know how that happened. It's the weirdest thing ever. And it was just like when that happened and I got suspended, I pleaded to the principal. I pleaded to him and I told him like this didn't happen. Like this didn't even happen. Like I don't know where this is coming from at all. Because I wasn't even expecting it. It was another regular day for me and I just got called into the principal's office at the end of the day. And then I was told about this. I was written up for something I didn't do. And, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me because of my grades and because of the fact that I had so many in-school suspensions because of my dress code in the past. So I had a bad track record and he didn't believe anything I said, but I was serious.
Right.
Because I was an honest person. I wasn't a liar. So.
Right.
So basically when I got suspended, that's when I told my mom about it and I was so mad and she was like, you know what, that's ridiculous. So now they're going to suspend you from school. And she was like, do you want to just drop out? And I was like, yeah. Okay. And that's when I did it.
That's when you did it. Okay.
Dropped out, whatever.
And how old were you at that time?
16.
16, okay.
I enrolled into a GED program.
Okay. At that time, right away?
Right away,
okay.
Yeah. Enrolled into a GED program. I was in this GED program for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get my GED until I was 18. But basically, my what is it, life coach or mentor,
mm-hmm.
Miss Jackson, the instructor, my GED instructor.
Okay.
Her name was Miss Jackson. She's over here. She was over here on Deltona Boulevard.
Okay.
It was Florida Youth Connections, I believe it was. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay. It was right over here. I think she moved locations now. She's still doing her thing. I share the thing on my page every now and then for the new youth people. But she was a very positive influence in my life. She used to talk to me and, she always supported me with my music and everything too. And she's still on my Facebook to this day.
Okay.
So,
she was a good mentor. Looks like it's a role model.
Yeah.
Young. You're 18 years old. And
I was still
16 at that time. Okay, so it's the beginning right away.
I was there until I was 18.
Right. So you needed someone to look up to. So that was cool.
Yeah, she was very motivational for me. I used to like to see her. She always had positive and motivational things to say to me. Mm-hmm. And she was really like that with all the kids in the class because a lot of us in that class, we all had different trials and tribulations that we were dealing with in our lives. Right. We had a lot of similar adversity, and she was just very familial,
Right. Well, you could also, I'm sensing too that she loved you guys. She cared about you. You could sense it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
100%.
Yeah. So not. Some teachers, they're doing a job. I mean, I don't blame teachers because it's hard. I mean, I never was a teacher in a school, so. But I mean, not that you were a troublemaker, you're in trouble. You're just a different type of person, and then this person came along and kind of saw the goodness out of you. So she was a good pivot point in your life. So things started changing a little bit in your life at that point, or
not right away. But I always cite her as a positive influence to this day.
okay, she was a pivot or a key point in your life to really start you down the right path.
Yeah, I think so.
Now this was all secular. There was no spiritual things involved with her, or was there?
So this is all secular. When I was a teenager, I believed in God, but it was like a very vague idea of God.
You know who he was. There's a God.
Just
you
like,
weren't a practicing Christian or anything.
And I remember one time in high school too. I was like. I was upset about something or whatever, and I told you I didn't care about school. So the teacher was talking about something. I forgot what it was. We were in some class about like babies. What is that class called? I don't know. Like
I'm not home. I'm not
home ec. What is that?
I don't know.
Parental. I don't know.
We didn't have that in my high school year.
I don't know. It was like it was one of those electives.
Okay.
It wasn't an elective I wanted. It was just one that I was given. I was
Right.
there. Whatever. She was talking about something, and I was like, I had my head down, and she told me to pick my head up, and I was like, I'm praying to God right now, and she was like, okay, well you could pray to God some other time, and I was like, no, I'll pray to God whenever I feel like it. So I mean, he was. I did believe something, I just wasn't, I didn't know anything biblical or anything like that.
Right. Well, you knew he existed, but, didn't have a relationship
right.
with him yet at the time. So
Right.
now this was 16 to 18 years old, and you're in this GED program, and you finally at 18 got your GED.
Yeah, well, that was on my own accord. I wasn't ready. Even Miss Jackson, my teacher, told me I wasn't ready to take that test. She knew I wasn't ready.
Okay.
Because when I started going, I started doing the same thing that I did in school, where
Right.
some days I would show up, some days I wouldn't show up because I didn't feel like it. I just started screwing off somewhere, like just, doing my own thing. I was home all the time. I didn't care.
I have to. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit, but I can just imagine, because I'm a boss myself, and I have been, and I run Blockbuster. We had 13 employees. You must have been an interesting employee, because if you had that attitude in high school, I'm sure you probably carry that over to your work environment.
Absolutely not. Actually,
no, you didn't. Well, that's good.
Complete opposite.
Okay, that is good, because I'm surprised, because. Maybe because you didn't like school, but then you liked work, so.
My thing was, and I was very driven in my life, but I was driven in another way.
Right.
I rejected like normal society. I rejected like structural things.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be successful in my own way. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to do my own thing.
Okay.
With the music, I was very dedicated. My life was all about music. I studied music,
Okay.
like when I was
that was
home.
your passion.
When I was home, I studied it. I listened to all different artists. I used to write songs for hours. I used to practice my songs for hours, listen to beats over and over all day. I used to stand in front of the stores and rap out loud like my songs, and I remember like I used to just rap for anybody on the dime, like all the time. That was like my passion. That's all I cared about.
You need to meet. You might have met him, because you only came a couple times to our Bible study. A guy named Evan.
Yeah, I know Evan.
Yes.
We've hung out before.
Okay, because I was going to say that you guys
I've got
would be
him on my Facebook.
You guys would be a great, because he likes to rap too. So
that event that I did on Passover, I invited Evan too, but he said he could come probably after work. But I never got back to him because, we were driving around all day, and I told him later on.
But I could definitely see you guys, are like-minded,
Yeah.
So,
and that was...
I mean, I'm not sure how old he is, but you're pretty close to the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, we are.
But okay, so now you do your GED and you take the test. So you got your GED, right? You said
I did, but by luck.
by luck.
Sheer luck. Well, and honestly, and if it wasn't luck, then it was God.
Yeah, right. Well, and sometimes God works. Even things people think, like only God works when I become a Christian. Like, or I can only become a Christian if I stop sinning or something like that. I got to
Yeah.
do something. And God is He said from your birth, He's had your plan. He has had it all planned
Right,
out.
right,
So
right. And
so you passed the test by luck or God, one of the two.
right.
And so now you're 18 years old. You completed your GED. You're still living with your mother
Right.
at that time. So now what's going on from that point?
So from that point on, so we had a plan in place where during the time from those 2 years, the 16, 17, 18, during the 16 and 17 years, that duration of time, me and my mother were very up and down.
Right.
Because
The relationship between them.
yeah, because I was in the closet, and then one of my friends outed me to her, and she was not happy about it. She was like, it's not normal. There's something wrong with you. Da 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 da.
Right.
And she was mad about it. So then we used to get into conflicts, and then eventually, I felt like I was hurting her because there was this one time, something happened with my brother one time, where my brother was like on social media, like, and he was saying all this stuff, and she didn't know he was doing it until that time, and she kind of like got upset about it. And she kind of like broke down crying, feeling like that she failed as a mother, basically, and then brought up the fact that and now I'm gay and this and that and blah blah blah. And when I heard that, when I was a teenager, I felt so upset, because I felt like I was hurting my mother. So
Right.
I lied to her, and I told her that I wasn't anymore.
Okay.
I really was, obviously.
At that time, yeah.
And I was still talking to girls and stuff, on the low. But I told her that because I didn't want to hurt her anymore. I didn't want to hurt her feelings.
Right.
Because I felt like that was something I did. So then when I went to go, I'm like all over the place. I'm trying to think what. Okay. So basically, because of that, I had a plan in place that I was gonna move. I was gonna move out and move back to New York, basically move in with my aunt, because my aunt at the time, like, she didn't like my mom's boyfriend either because of everything that he was doing. So
Right.
my aunt had said to me at that time, you're always welcome over here. Like, my door's always open for you. So when I was like 16, 17, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back up to New York and move in with my aunt.
Okay.
But she told me, my aunt said, listen, before you come here, though, I want you to get your GED. You need to get your GED first, and then
Okay.
you can come here. And I was like, okay. So that's why I was really trying to get the GED. The
So you
only
can move.
reason I wanted to get the GED, I didn't care about school. I didn't care about having the damn diploma.
Right.
She stressed it to me that I should at least have the bare minimum diploma, just, for future, for jobs and everything, just to
Right.
have it. So I pushed myself to
Right.
take the test before I was ready.
Okay.
Because I was a flunky. I was just, sometimes I was there, sometimes I wasn't. I wasn't a big study person, none of that. Now, my GED program, it had opportunities to make money. So we had a situation where we had to, basically, they filmed us having a debate with
Okay.
various different topics. And we got paid for it.
Wow.
So within that week, I made $800,
Wow.
and it helped me a lot, because I saved that $800, because I'm like, finally, I got some money, and now I could use this towards my future. So I
good.
saved it, and I said, when I move, this is the money that I'm going to use to support myself temporarily. Like, whatever I need, when I first get there, this is what I'm going to use. So I stored that money. I didn't touch it until I was like, damn, I gotta get this GED. I gotta get this, because I'm not gonna be able to go there if I don't get it. So now I'm 18, and I'm like, it's taking too long. I'm supposed to be there already. So I paid for the test by myself without my teacher's permission. She didn't tell me I was ready. Usually,
Right.
We would do practice tests and all that, and she would be like, okay, you're ready. You go take the GED
Right.
test. Nope. I went on my own accord. I just paid for the test. I'm like, bada bing, bada boom. We gotta do it. I failed all 4 of them
Wow.
because, there's 4 sections. There's reading. No, sorry. I failed 3 of them because I passed the reading first try.
Right.
There's reading, social studies, science, and math.
Okay.
So I failed all 3, and then I passed the reading. So then the second time, you get to take it for free if you failed.
Okay.
So the second time, I took it again, and I passed social studies now, but I failed science and math.
Right.
Third time around, you pay for it at a discounted rate.
Okay.
Every time I failed, I just kept rescheduling the test, like very impulsively. I failed it again. Ugh. All right, reschedule it again. I just kept on doing it like a gambler. Like I was literally gambling on my diploma.
Right.
So the third time, I paid for it, from the 800 at a discounted rate, and I took the test again, and I failed science and math. Then the fourth time, I had to pay full price again. I failed science and math.
Again.
The fifth time, it was free. I took it. I passed science.
Not math.
I failed math. Then the second time, whatever time we're on now, the seventh time, I paid for it now, the discounted rate. I failed math. The 8th time, okay, wait, no, we on 7th or I lose. All I know is I took it 8 times.
Right.
I'm serious. I took it 8 times.
What's the time span from the first time to the 8th time? How long a period was that?
No, this was back to back to back to back to back.
Well, it wasn't like the same day.
No, not the same day. It was probably like weeks, like just weeks apart.
Couple of weeks.
Weeks apart.
Right.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a week between each. It took 2 months for you to do this.
Yeah.
Maybe less, maybe a month or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just kept doing it again and again and again and again.
Well, you were
And I was persistent.
persistent. Yeah, that's one way to put it.
I don't care about this. I want to do my music.
Well, was the test different every time you took it?
Nope, same test.
Same test.
The questions in different order, but same
But
test.
basically the same test.
Yeah.
I mean, you figure you almost memorized the test. If you did well on this one and you just keep adding, it's okay.
No, I was terrible at math.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Well, you said you didn't like it in high school, so
I had tried to.
I figured that was going to happen.
I had tried to study it a little bit.
I had to take algebra over again, and because I failed it to graduate, and I had to take it over. So if you go back to my transcripts, it was because I redid the first semester, and it was A+. And then it was like F. It looks like I did a lot of work the first semester, and then I just did nothing the rest because I was terrible at it. I don't like math either.
The year that I dropped out of high school, my report card, straight Fs.
Yeah.
No lie, straight Fs.
That's so.
All of them.
All right, so you finally passed the test on the 8th try.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't on the 8th time. You had it. Okay.
That's why I'm telling you. Listen, it's a story, man.
I guess so. All right, let's go. We went to an hour 9th try.
All right, so nope, I didn't do a 9th try.
Okay.
8th try, I failed math again. And at that point, I was so
But you passed everything else but math.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can't get it unless you pass
have
all
all
4.
4 of them.
I felt so defeated. I can't even explain it. I felt like so defeated. You know why? Because the 7th time I took it, I was 2 points away from passing.
Oh, you were close.
And you know what I did? I studied a very little bit. And when I say study, I probably studied for like 2 days, an hour each, because I was terrible at studying. I didn't know how to study. I was just like, I don't get it. And I would just stop. So I studied a little bit. So there was a couple of times where I knew what I was doing for some of it. Now on the 7th try, I felt like I was a little bit equipped. But because it took so long for me to work out the equations, I had like 20 questions left and I was running out of time. I was like, I had very little time left. I didn't have time to work out the rest. So I Christmas treed a whole 20 questions. That's what I did anyway from previously.
Right.
And that's what I did for other questions in a test too. A lot of times I didn't even come to an answer, but I tried. I really, really tried.
Right.
And so when I saw that I was 2 points away from passing, I was sure that I was going to pass the 8th time, right? The 8th time, I did worse than the 7th. So I was so defeated. I felt I felt sick to my stomach. I was like, I'm never gonna get this diploma. I'm never gonna get it. I can't do this anymore. And I wasn't showing up to the GED program or anything. I was done with it. I was done with it all. I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Right.
But I kept having this thing in my head, like, what if, like, what, like, I just kept saying, like, something's gotta give. Like, what if it just changed? Like, what if it just changed? Like, what if I got it anyway? And it's so crazy talking about it now because that's really how it was. Like, I had thoughts like that, and I'm just like, something's gotta give. And I remember I would just keep on logging into the computer and looking at that 2.2 away score.
Right.
Keep logging onto the computer and looking at it all the time. And then one day I received a phone call, and this lady told me that she was calling everybody who took the GED test because the state of Florida right now is having meetings to try to change the passing score. And it's funny because when I was having those thoughts, I was like, what if the passing score changed? Like, what if they changed it? Like, I was saying stuff like that. And it's
Right.
crazy. This woman was telling me this on the phone. They're having meetings to change it. And I was like, really? Are you serious? And she was like, yeah. And right now, it looks like it's very likely that they're going to pass it, but we're still not sure. So in a couple of months, we're going to give you a call if they do. And then basically anybody who then has a score that meets the criteria,
Right.
they'll receive
No.
their diploma. And I was like, so you would take my highest score? Because I was 2 points away. And she was like, yes, because at the time it was 150 or something, points wise.
Right.
And they were aiming to change it to 145.
Oh.
So my 148, they said, like, basically, because out of all the times I took it, they said, yes, we would take your highest score.
Okay.
And then we would send it out to you.
Oh.
So after that, I was excited, but I was also a little scared because she said it was not a guarantee, but right now it looks like they're going to pass it. So for months then, I was just home and I anticipated. I was like in a deep depression, but at the same time, I was so driven on the creative side of things. Like,
Right.
I made so much music and wrote so many songs and this and that. I was during the span of all this, by the way, I didn't talk about it to save us time. I'm not going to talk about it, but I did have relationships. I had long distance relationships with women.
Okay.
So, and all of these relationships were really like roller coasters. So that added on to everything else that we already talked about.
Right.
But whatever. So during this time, I was dating this one girl in New York, and me and her, we had like a really roller coaster like relationship too. So but at the time she was saying, like, basically she can't wait till I go up there and everything, because we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that and blah blah blah. So I was all excited. I couldn't wait because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna be doing my music and I'm gonna be with my girl and I'm gonna be living the life.
Right.
And she was telling me about how, like, oh, like because she was, she was getting money. She was a stripper, so she's getting money like that. And she had like boyfriends and stuff and guy friends that would, like, give her things and blah blah blah. So she would be like, yeah, we're gonna take this trip. We're gonna go to the Poconos. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never been off. I've never been on vacation, really. Like, I've never been anywhere. The Poconos, that sounds like a good time.
Wow.
So I was all excited, But yes, I was doing my music, but at the same time, I was kind of like, every time me and her were, on the outs, I was feeling like really miserable. So during these next couple of months that I was just waiting for this lady's possible phone call, I just was watching Lifetime movies all day. That's what I did for months.
Lifetime is okay. I was saying that's not the Hallmark Channel. It's
No.
Lifetime.
Yeah, the Lifetime movies all day long. That's what I did. And then boom, they sent me out my diploma when they got the phone call that it went through. And then after that, right away I booked my flight to New York right when I got it. And I moved in with my aunt up north.
Okay. All right. What we're going to do, some very unique thing here, is I have never done this before, is we're going to go to a three-parter.
Oh my
So
gosh.
everybody tune in, and we're going to find out how she made some corrections in her life and made some decisions and stuff like
I'm
that.
sorry, it's so
Oh, it's
long,
okay.
you guys.
Hey, that's fine.
It was
you got
a
to tune
long
in next
time
week
coming.
to hear what else she has to say. So, everybody, thanks for listening. This has been the Millennium Beat with your host, Kevin James. I'm here with Nikki Davidson, and we're going to continue with her life next week, and you're going to see some changes and some stuff like that we're going to go into. So
If you care enough next
if you care
week.
out, the part 3, she is a record breaker. So thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.